Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I will be reviewing the second book in the Saga of the Seven Sons series, A Forest of Stars. I forgot the name for a second because I also was looking at Hidden Empire, which is the first book, so apologize for my little brief forgetfulness. This is, of course, the second book. This book, however, takes place 5 years after the events of Book 1, which is a very strange and questionable choice, which I'll discuss. Comparing the books, Book 1 had an incredibly slow start because Kevin Anderson threw like 30 different characters at the audience, and it's constantly changing from one to the next, and so you don't get to spend time with the characters very long because you have 5 pages and then you don't see them for another 100 pages. So that was a very frustrating aspect of Book 1. It works well in Book 2 because you already know the characters, and thus the intercutting works just fine, and I never felt lost, and as a result, Book 2 opens much faster than Book 1 does, and it continues that momentum throughout the rest of the book. So the first 2/3 of Book 2 of A Forest of Stars are better than the first 2/3 of Hidden Empire. However, I will say that the Hidden Empire had a much better climax overall. The climax around the planet Jupiter was much better than the climax in this book, which took place on other planets that I won't get into for spoiler reasons. I think that this book served certain characters really well, and I thought that the whole cast got enough to work with, but they didn't get a lot of attention other than the main ones. I would say that the best characters in this book are similar to the best characters of the previous book. You have King Peter now. He's king, and he's a very compelling character. I like him a lot. Also, Astara, who becomes the queen in this book. I like her very much. And then you also have Basil Wenceslas, who is the chairman of the Hansa, which is kind of funny that he has all the power. I really like reading his character. He becomes much more villainous in this book than, say, his character was in the first book. His character has some bad qualities in the first book, but he's still kind of he's the leader. He's trying to do his best. He's trying to help out, but in this book, he's pretty bad. There were other characters that worked. Taser Tamblyn, she serves as the military focus of this book. And you have other characters like General Lanyon throws in, but she's really the military focus, and she works well as that kind of character. And then you have the characters on Thurrock. You have the roamers, and then you have the characters in the prime designate, Jorah. He gets a lot of time in this book. I think that of any single character, he probably has the most page count, although I can't guarantee that's the case. And then you also have the Mage Imperator, his father, also gets a lot of page count, and a lot of work happens to move the chess pieces around. This is very much kind of a middle book where things are moving around. Characters are getting married, characters are being sent on quests, characters are learning information, characters are fighting in battles, but nothing of huge import that is going to change the direction of the universe is happening quite in the same way that it was in A Hidden Empire. I still think that the Hydrogues, the overall villains of the series, are still very weak villains. I think that Anderson does not do a great job of describing them. He doesn't do a great job of fleshing them out yet. That can come later on, that's fine, but so far we're 0 for 2 in the books. But I will say that the way that this book intercuts from the characters is gold, and I love it. It really shows his strength as an overall plotter. I really do think that he is the best plotter in the business because he's great at creating the political tensions. I mean, this is a sci-fi book that has a lot of fantastical political qualities to it. The governments in this book feel more like governments in a fantasy series than they do in a traditional sci-fi series, and I love that, and I think that that is his biggest strength. It's why the political plot lines are much more interesting to me than the scientific plot lines, or than the historical plot lines, or than the military plot lines. You know, if you had given this book series to, say, a Timothy Zahn or a David Weber, it would all be about the military, and that would be the prime focus of the books, and it would just be honed in on that. Everything else get off the page. Anderson is good at writing all the genres. You got romance, you got fantasy stuff, you got sci-fi, you got military stuff, you got political thriller, you got all of that in one book, but the overarching genre is sci-fi, and he's good at bringing them all together. And I think that's why some points in the genres are weaker than others, but I think he's still overall one of the best plotters because of it. And so I think this would make a really good TV series if you got another writer maybe to change the dialogue a little bit. The dialogue in this book continues, as the first book did, to feel a little bit more stunted, to feel a little bit more like they're filling in the dialogue to fill in the audience, less so as natural dialogue between characters would happen. But it still works very well as a whole. It still propels the story forward, keeps me engaged as a reader. I really like Anderson's descriptions of planets, and I like his descriptions of ships very well. I think that he is an excellent describer of that, and I'm going to circle back to this, but just the way that he does political intrigue is just told on a level that not many people can do in the genre realm, and so I really appreciated that. So overall, I like this book. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it's just slightly better as a whole to Hidden Empire, but I think Hidden Empire had better world building, and it had better a better climax than Forest of Stars did. But still a solid book, solid entry, makes me want to continue reading the series. I'm very interested in it. I still think that the cover art for the original type of cover art was much better than the cover art of this book. I will have had it up here on the screen for this video. I wish that they had kept the other cover art, because I think it's just better than this. This is bland. This is so bland. Not really good. It's not a piece of artwork. This is not a piece of art that I would hang on my walls. The other art, I may not hang it on my walls, but I would think about it because I think it's much better. So those are my thoughts on A Forest of Stars, the second book in the saga of the Seven Sons. If you've read this book, let me know your comments. If you're interested in reading the series, let me know why you're interested. If you aren't sure about it, tell me why. If you have read it and don't like it, let me know that as well. I'm really interested in hearing those opinions. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.